Chat, that was God of War Ragnarok. I remember when I finished the 2018, and I sat there afterwards saying, I cannot wait to play the sequel. I was like, oh god, we gotta do Persona 5. Why did I choose to do that in between? I think it was good. It gave me time to think on the game and my journey through it. And I think that in retrospect, you can't really talk about this game without talking about 2018. I think that journey you go on with Atreus, it's so simple. It's set within the world and doesn't feel like it's too tied down by the Norse mythology and Ragnarok and all of that. It's telling this beautiful tale of Kratos opening up to his son and becoming a better father. So, Ragnarok has a lot more to deal with, and I don't think it fully achieves what it set out to do. I don't hate this game. Let's start by saying that. Let's go for some positives first. There's some great stuff in here. I like the tier twist. Brock's death was great. Lots of great little Norse twists in here, like Fenrir, like Garm turning out to be Fenrir. The use of the giant souls. How Odin was defeated, I don't mind. The fact we didn't get a Sea Wars Beyond the Rift, I also don't mind. Like, you leave it up to the player's imagination. I liked our introduction to Odin. The first fight with Thor is fucking fantastic. Like, probably the best fight in the entire series, in my opinion. Everything with Freya. Her whole backstory going with her through Vanaheim. What else? There's probably a bunch more. I could list off the top of my head. I can't list off the top of my head right now. I think that the same level of quality is in this game, but it is bogged down by extremely shoddy pacing. Extremely, like, out of nowhere, the sudden rushes of combat, massive slouches in terms of just journeying around doing certain things. This game fundamentally did not hit the mark, I don't think, unfortunately, for me anyway. I don't think this is bad. I think it's pretty good. Compared to 2018, though, it's hard, because I like 2018's simple story and everything involving Boulder. It's not telling too much. This game feels like two games that are sandwiched together and they do not mesh well. We should have had a game that set up Ragnarok, built towards the war, and then the next game was only Ragnarok. Because there are some things at the end here which honestly annoyed me. Fundamentally, on a story level, I did not like the fact that everything involving building the armies was done off screen. That is fundamentally, I hate it. I hate it, chat. Like, we spent the first game and second game visiting Alfheim, the home of the elves, watching their conflict between the light and dark elves, having these debates about their means of achieving peace, and then it's all done by Freya off screen. That is, I hate it. Now, I could hear the reason. The creators do not want to make another 5-year-long dev cycle for the final game in this series. However, I am going to say this now, that hurt this game. It really hurt this game. The fact that the final part is kind of underwhelming is a massive hit, I think. Because I think God of War 3 fundamentally hits where it needs to, with the whole vengeance angle and Kratos taking down Zeus and then killing himself at the end. I think that worked perfectly for that game's more simplistic route to storytelling. But because they're going deeper into themes here, deeper into Freya's character, deeper into Kratos, deeper into Atreus, fundamentally, you have to compensate for that with a better finale. And fundamentally, I think that the finale here is really weak. We just go to Ragnarok. There's a bunch of noise around us as we make our way towards there. We get the food cutscene, we get Thor fight, But there's not a lot of payoff for that. They mention at the end that Kratos only won through cooperation with others. That's not true. He won with Freya and Atreus. It was only because of those two he was able to defeat him. Like, they didn't bring in everyone to fight Odin at the end. It was those three. Like, yes, Atreus had, giant magic, but they didn't need to put his soul away to kill Odin at the end. That just felt like a means of pity. Maybe that was the only way. Maybe I missed some lore, but they should have divulged into it, because I didn't read into anything that Odin could only be defeated by being put in a marble. And yeah, I don't like that Thor is immediately killed after his redemption. It kind of makes his redemption feel null and void. He doesn't act against his father. He realizes his father sucks, and then he immediately dies. There's nothing there. It's like they get right to the end of his character arc and then just kill him before he reaches the top. I do not like that. And then the final Odin fight is very underwhelming. I think that the use of different elemental attacks is fun, but compared to like the first Thor fight, even Garm was fucking amazing. Yeah, we talked about Ironwood. I don't think Ironwood is the worst part of the game anymore. I think the worst part of the game is the fact all the army building was off screen. That should have been like a 10-hour segment in itself. We shouldn't have been fucking around trying to find Tyr, going like to Ironwood, doing all that, like running off with Atreus to Asgard was useful for our time, and I like seeing a different perspective to everything, but it ended up not hitting the way it should have. And I think, like, taking the piece for what it is, there's definitely a game here they could have salvaged to make the story feel complete. And they didn't go down that route. There was no reason why we couldn't have had an Alfheim conflict dealt with. There's no reason why we couldn't have gone to Svartalfheim to deal with the dwarfs. There's no reason why we couldn't have gone to Vanaheim and talked to the people there. We ended up getting a whole bunch of sequences that, while they were important, they felt more underwhelming than what they could have done with it. But how strong and clever they made Odin out to be, able to snap 4 hour existence with a single sphere staff, infiltrate their spaces tier. Felt like a bit of a wet fight, only like, okay, let's go, and then having taken down pretty easily, to me at least. Yeah, that whole finale should have gone on for a lot longer. Also, did they just ignore the prophecy? Because we watched Kratos be in Atreus' arms. That never happens. I hope it isn't, like, rushing here. I really hope it isn't. Hey, here's something that is worth noting. The devs of this game are fantastic. Santa Monica Studios, they should keep making games. I'm glad this game was well received. Good on them. Great, make more. But I hope they learn from this. Don't write a story that's going to take 3 games to finish if you can't do it, is what I'm going to say. Bluepoint? Even Bluepoint worked on this game. But yeah, no, as I was saying, like, Odin just going out like that felt kind of a disservice to him. Like, him being dumb when Atticus Tyr at the end made sense because he was getting reckless. But we should have seen more to his smart side. At the end, he just ended up being, a mage user. And it was like, oh, I guess he's dead now. I like Sindri being the one to kill him, but they also could have gone a different direction with that, which I think would have been more effective. There's a lot of themes in this game that do not get resolved, which is why it's like, how I would describe it is there's too many cooks. Too many ideas are in this game, and they can't properly finish them all because they just decide, no, this is not going to get resolved. This is not going to get resolved. Like, Faye's sacrifice at the end, I felt nothing. Because it was right at the end of the game and right after Freya's end of her character arc. It's just like, oh, here we go, we're just going to kill Faye now. Why? There's no reason for them to do that at the end. Doesn't add to his character. He doesn't even get a whole lot to do anyway. So everybody made clear the prophecy of fate is concrete in this world. I just feel like there should have been more of an obstacle in that regard, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it just kind of doesn't get addressed at the end at all. Like, we wear things that are called fate breakers. We do nothing in the finale that is different to what would have actually happened in the prophecy. Ragnarok showing up felt completely unnecessary too. Yeah, we can talk about that too. Surtur should have been introduced way earlier in the game. Like, he should have been... We shouldn't have spent... Like, I don't know what Angerboda's role in this game was. I guess to make Atreus go out on his own journey, but that's not the implication I got from his character. Like, yes, we were trying to break fate. Yes, we were trying to make Atreus become his own person, his own adult, right? That is part of his growth as a character in this video game. But fundamentally, Angerboda's role in the game ended up being a getaway at the end, which is... I mean, we have Fenrir. Why don't we use Fenrir to just breach, like, the middle of Asgard, if it can just go through rift tears anyway? Like, there's so much in this game that it's difficult to wrap my head around story-wise. And let's move on to another nitpick I have. I don't love the gameplay in this. You saw at the end there how overpowered Draupnir was. Yes, I have an overly leveled character, but that should not have been as easy as it was. I could just do realm tears and just destroy combat. And yes, I'm using the systems in the game to suit me. Like, I'm cheating, I guess one would say, in some regard. Fundamentally, I think that this reeks of that AAA nature, which we talked about before. The difficulty nature, which is... yeah, difficulty thing like we've had. Fundamentally, this game reeks of the AAA nature of it just being a fundamentally good video game, but there's a bunch of quality of life things they should have included here, such as being able to travel back to the world tree at any time. You should be able to do that whenever you wanted to. Just have a door spawn in front of Kratos. Less stun locking during the runic attacks. I know that part of the runic attacks, the nature of them, is to prepare for the fights. But during that 4 boss, I did my heavy runic attack, and I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of it. You should at least be able to cancel the runic attacks, because you just stand there like an idiot, and you can't do anything to break out of it. But like with the flower, that's the same in Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, if you get hit during a special attack, you get knocked out of it, and then you can get out of there. The issue isn't that, like, you can get interrupted, it's the fact that if you get interrupted in this game, you still do the entire fucking animation anyway. You just end up being wide open for a whole bunch of moves. And yeah, some of the boss design here, the sub-bosses were pretty bad. Like, we had a whole gank squad you guys didn't see. But I like Draupnir. I like the new weapon in this game. I thought it was very good, and I enjoyed using it a lot. So yeah, that's my opinion, chat. Like, it might not be like the opinion everyone wants to hear. Like, might have gone into this being like, oh, I can't wait to see Flower only praise this game. I want to only praise this game, but I don't know. I don't know, chat. I think it's a bit mixed, honestly, in terms of story anyway. Again, there's a bunch of good scenes in there, but overall I thought that it was just kind of which sucks for a game this scale, for a game with this amount of budget. I only want the best for the devs and what they can do, and I think what they crafted, I feel differently to me. I mean, yeah, everyone's allowed their own opinion. Everyone's allowed to enjoy a thing differently. Like, I played Last of Us Part 2 recently, and I thought that game was fantastic. Yeah, it's undeniably a good game. That's, like, it's in the same ballpark as Tears of the Kingdom. It's fundamentally a fantastic video game that we should see emulated further. This sort of storytelling, this way it's done, is not the problem here. The execution is not the problem. It's the story itself which is the problem, which can be fixed with a better story. And I'm hoping they learn from this with the next God of War game. I don't want these devs to suffer for... Like, same with Dawn Trail. I don't want the devs to suffer. I want them to keep making more stuff. Like, even if the story was a bit How would I rank these games, I wonder? I can't really rank God of War 2 and 3 separately, but I think I might like them more than this. It's difficult, because I like elements of that game more in its simplicity. 2018 is without a doubt my favourite one. 2018 is one of the best video games I've ever played. But this game is is how I would describe it. Anyway, yeah, that's it, chat. That's my review of God of War Ragnarok. Feel kind of bad saying it so much, but it stings to AAA in many ways, which I've gotten increasingly sick of. I can't even say this game plays it safe, because I like the fact that Brock gets just killed. He doesn't come back at the end, and they even imply that his soul is not going to the afterlife. It's going nowhere. It's like, yeah, good. I didn't expect that, and I like that. I like the twist of Tyr as well, like being Odin the entire time. Didn't fucking mean anything really that much at the end, but it was cool. I like the Garm twist with Fenrir. I liked Thor as a character. I enjoyed the barb war we had of him. The first Thor fight is great. But there's a bunch of stuff in here that just is middling at best. Even the Alfheim revisit. I was so excited to go back to Alfheim and see the other side of the conflict. And we got a little bit of that. And we got to see the jellyfishes get free from the desert, which is cool. But didn't do a whole lot with it. I wanted to see the different factions, the different leaders fight against each other, showing their points, and Kratos being a mediator. Wouldn't that have been a good idea to show Kratos' growth as a character? To not cause destruction, but instead mediate like a new thing between these characters. Don't just have Frey appear at the end and be like, oh, I'll just make a quick trip to Alfheim and I'll solve it all. I was just sitting there like, no! You can't! That might be fundamentally the most annoying thing in this game. Outside of Ironwood, outside of anything, is the fact that they spent all that time with that world and did nothing with it in the end. These things were like, that's cool. They were expanding on them properly because they had to get back to moving the plot for along, and then when they didn't really need to expand something, picking fruit is when they suddenly felt they needed to set the pace and they should be a movie sort of quits and shit. That's what gets me. Yeah. Let's talk about Atreus, chat. I think that this is kind of a downgrade for him. I mentioned before that Atreus' character arc in this game is stupid. His role is to choose his own path, right? I don't see how him using giant magic is him doing his own thing. Like, yes, he helps Fenrir, and he saves him and puts him into the Garm. He does that with Odin at the end too. Fundamentally, nothing was set up to mean that Odin being put in a marble would be what kills him. If there was more there in the way of that being the case, it would have worked. But him using that power is not Atreus being smart. The game keeps praising him, and they're like, oh, Atreus using this giant magic. He's so clever, isn't he, Kratos? No, I don't. Also, you can just scroll through here, huh? Maelstrom didn't get that. It doesn't mean anything. Him doing that is something he learned from someone else. And they keep making him make stupid decisions, which I guess is part of his character as well. I wanted to really like the arc between him and Kratos, and I think there are good parts of it. Kratos allowing his son to be his own person and growing from that is cool, but the game doesn't do enough of it. It's not the fundamental building block between the two of them, really. Like, it's a conflict that gets resolved in the Niflheim stuff. No, not Niflheim, Helheim. But for the most part, it just feels like it's kind of on a back burner, while Ragnarok, while playing the forefront of the plot, is not all that interesting. And yeah, I just don't enjoy Atreus' like dialogue in this game. I think it reeks of like Marvel quips and them trying to modernize like Norse mythology. I don't like modernization when it comes to that. I'm not saying everyone needs to speak like Mimir, but I don't like just hearing people be like, oh wow, that was crazy. Oh, look at that dragon appearing there. Is that Ragnarok? Whoa! No, I don't want that. I want characters to have nice, smart dialogue. And them, like, having more than just being token, quip character, which is what every single child character ended up being in this game. Thrud, that Midgard kid, Angerboda, Atreus, They all have the same personality when it comes to giving quips, and I hate it. Mamiya was great. I kind of wish they did more of him in this game. I thought they were going to sacrifice him at some point, but they wouldn't, because it would mean that they couldn't do the lore with him anymore, which, again, would have been kind of interesting to do that, but they didn't do it, so... I mentioned my whole theory. Wait, what do you mean evil Freya? Who the fuck is evil Freya? Is that the hallucination version? The main thing, chat, is this game feels like two games put together. And not comfortably. Like, awkwardly. It's like putting two different sandwiches together, and it just does not work well, because we end up doing a bunch of side endeavors, like going to see the Fates. Doesn't mean a whole lot in the overall package. Going to again, Alfheim to find a prophecy doesn't mean a whole lot in the overall package. There's not enough direction here. Turkey cereal sandwich. I had a good time with this. I don't want the thing that people will be like, oh, Flower hated God of War Ragnarok. I did not hate this game. I had a blast playing this, like, whether doing the photo mode, doing the challenge mode, or fighting the enemies, getting to see these characters again. But I was disappointed by the story, I think, unfortunately. I wanted to really get in there after 2018, but I think that they mishandled it, unfortunately. Maybe it's because I played Final Fantasy XIV and I've experienced the majesty that is Endwalker and Shadowbringers and how good the storytelling is there. But I think that if you can't nail the ending, it just kind of all falls apart, because all of these arcs, all of these moments, all these themes need to have resolution. And the biggest problem with that is a bunch of the side quests in this game can be played after you finish the story. Which implies that not everything has resolution at the end. Maelstrom, you're playing Metaphor. That game's ending is fucking amazing. And you'll see playing that how well they balance everything towards the end. And that's the most important part of the story, is getting there and feeling satisfied. And while I am satisfied, I don't know, I just feel less than how I felt at the end of 2018. Which is not an optimistic thing to say, obviously. I want to say, good job, devs, but I can't. I can say good job in terms of the design, the execution, how the game looks, and how the game plays for the most part. But I think I had a better time in 2018. Negatives aside, I hope you all enjoyed this playthrough. I think we'll be doing a retrospective of the whole series tomorrow, where I'll do a couple of the side quests, talk about each of the games, maybe put together some kind of ranking. I think that'll be fun. We have got the Raven video to watch. We'll watch that tomorrow, I think, alongside everything else. There's Valhalla, obviously, but I'm not going to be playing that on stream right now anyway. Maybe at some point in the future, if I have a bit of free time between Season 2 and Season 3 of Persona 5. But we'll see. Right, that's it.